Welcome back. We're talking about Brexit. British Prime Minister Theresa May has called for a hard Brexit and is holding fast to her plans to trigger Article 50 by March 31st. For The View from the European Union, Philippe Lamberts joins us from Brussels. Philippe is a member of the European Parliament from Belgium. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, as we've been hearing from our guests at the beginning of the show, this is a very complex process, this process of Britain leaving the European Union. It's not just a case of packing your bags and walking away. And as we've been reporting, the British Prime Minister, Theresa May, has indicated that she wants what is known as a hard Brexit, a clean break with the European Union. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
We are leaving the European Union, but we are not leaving Europe. And that is why we seek a new and equal partnership between an independent, self-governing global Britain and our friends and allies in the EU. Not partial membership of the European Union, associate membership of the European Union, or anything that leaves us half in, half out.
So, Philippe, what does this mean for the exit negotiating process? Do you see something relatively quick, or is it going to be a very long, drawn-out affair?
Well, we never tried it, so we will see, we will learn by doing. So normally we have a 2-year delay to achieve a success, well, at least a result of the negotiation. Now, mind you, the heads of states and government in Europe, by unanimous decision, can decide to prolong that delay and add the time that is needed to complete an agreement. But of course, there's a deadline, which is the next European election that is due to take place in May 2019. And of course, I think it's in everyone's interest that we complete the negotiation by then. But now, hard or soft Brexit makes no difference. It's going to be a complex negotiation because, you know, it's not that if the United Kingdom walks away, that it will then forget about all the obligations that have been contracted since the UK became a member and until the UK leaves. In other terms, the UK signed up for a number of processes of projects, but also took a number of political commitments. And of course, I'm thinking of climate change targets and commitments that the United Kingdom cannot simply renege upon. So there will be budgetary implications, there will be legal implications beyond the summer of 2019, that's for sure.
Now, judging from the rhetoric that's coming out of Europe, the European Union looks to be very hard on Britain. We heard from the European Parliament's chief negotiator, Guy Verhofstadt. He said that he can't go soft on Britain. We heard from the chief foreign policy advisor to the European Union, Federica Mogherini, saying that Britain can't go off and negotiate deals on its own while we're negotiating Brexit, you know, because Britain is, of course, looking for a free trade deal with the United States. Why is Europe being so hard on Britain?
Well, I think that the right question to ask is why Theresa May chose the hardest of all interpretations of the referendum, because again, the referendum in the UK chose for leaving the European Union, but you know there's a whole host of interpretation of what it means to leave the European Union. As Theresa May said, she chose for the hardest interpretation, that is, we are leaving everything, the single market, the customs union, the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice, everything. And so she chose for a hard Brexit. So we, the EU 27, did not make that choice. Now, we are faced with that choice, and indeed, the key message is that there will be no cherry picking. I mean, you cannot be halfway pregnant. If she chooses to be out, well, for the United Kingdom, to be out of every single EU institution, then there's not many options. You cannot say, okay, you know, I'd like to keep access to the single market, but I don't want to take the obligations that come with that. So that's a choice she made. And the thing is that the EU 27 seemed to be united in saying, okay, fine, we will remain neighbors, but then again, you will have no special deal. In other terms, other third countries have decided to have relationships with the European Union. There's the Norwegian model, there's the model of having a bilateral free trade agreement, and that's perfectly possible, but you don't negotiate these things just in a crack of time. I mean, it takes time to negotiate that. And of course, that comes with rights and obligations. So if the UK wants to retain access to the European markets, there will be strings attached.
So, Philippe, from what I'm hearing you saying that this is still negotiable, that Britain can still have some kind of role in Europe. It can still be half in, half out.
Well, no, it's for the UK to decide. Look at the Norwegian model. The Norwegian model is they have access to the single market, but then they accept free circulation of people. Norway, without being a member of the European Union, still contributes to the EU budget because it participates in a number of activities of the European Union. That model is in theory accessible to the United Kingdom, but this is incompatible with the statements that Theresa May made when she said, okay, no contribution to the budget, no access to the single market, no free circulation, no jurisdiction of the EU Court of Justice, which means that actually even the Norwegian kind of association is not possible. So if you have to take Theresa May seriously, it means that the UK becomes a third country like almost anyone else, any other third country to the European Union. And therefore, yes, we are prepared to negotiate free trade deals, but of course, that will come with rights and constraints for the United Kingdom. It's not a one-way street, you know. When it comes to free trade, it's a two-way street, and there will be give and take. And you cannot negotiate that before knowing what the outcome of the exit negotiation is. And that is the position of the European Union. You first negotiate the exit, and then you negotiate the new arrangement. And that is basically what the EU27 seem to be united around.
Ultimately, was Brexit about immigration, the free movement of people between all these different member states in the European Union, and the fact that the British were unhappy with the fact that there were many, many people coming from East European countries, mainly to Britain?
Well, of course, there is resentment about that. I must say also that you have 300,000 French people living in and about London, and that's a lot as well. Now, compared to a population of more than 65 million, it's peanuts. Yet it did create resentment, but actually I do believe that this resentment was stoked by the Brexit campaign. And every witness in the United Kingdom can testify that the degree of xenophobia has risen in the United Kingdom, and that's not a welcome development. And of course, this is not specific to the United Kingdom. We do see these trends on the continent as well. But the fact is, what do you do with that? Do you encourage these trends, or do you try to combat them and to also stress the advantages of free circulation? So yes, this is a hot issue. No denying of that, but then the question is how you deal with that. And frankly speaking, I do believe that the referendum campaign has opened a Pandora's box in terms of language and of xenophobia that Europe has known before, and that is not a welcome development.
Philippe, very quickly, I've got a few seconds. You say these threats do exist in other countries as well. Do you see other European countries holding this kind of vote on leaving Europe as well?
I don't see any other European country deciding to hold such a referendum right now. Well, there are rumors. Well, there are not rumors. There's political pressure in Italy to have a referendum on belonging to the euro, but not to the European Union. Likewise, that there are some radical right parties, Trump-like parties, I would say, in France, for instance, Marine Le Pen's Front National, who are inching in the same direction. Yet there's no practical referendum project around in the European Union at the moment.
Okay, Philippe Lamberts, thanks for joining us, sir.